YouTube! I'm going to show you how I'm going to make my chocolate cheesecake with speculoos. Now, speculoos is just the French name for these sort of caramelized sugar biscuits. And so they come in packets like this. Lotus is probably one of the more famous brands. I'm going to be putting my cheesecake in this tin. It is my friend's tin, which is why it's covered in cling film. Because when you cut it out, I don't want to scratch the bottom of it. Secondly, it will probably make it a bit easier for the cleanup. If I was at home with my more well-equipped kitchen, I'd probably suggest using a spring-form tin. So you will need 100 grams of dark chocolate, 300 grams of milk chocolate. Make sure you buy good quality stuff because you will be able to tell with the milk chocolate as it's the main flavouring. 75 grams of butter, 1.5 tubs of mascarpone. This is about 250 grams of mascarpone. You'll need 3 tubs of the Philadelphia cream cheese, not necessarily Philadelphia. So that's 3 tubs, which is 300 grams. Then you will need about 350 grams of speculoos. And then the magic ingredient is the spread, which is actually available in the UK now. Well, you need to make sure that your mascarpone and your Philadelphia is at room temperature. So you need to leave it out for about an hour or so. First thing you need to do is unwrap all of these biscuits. So I better get going. Okay, so making the crumb, it's actually incredibly easy, even if you don't have a food processor, even if you don't have a rolling pin with you. Ideally, you would put it in a bag or between some cling film and smush it out. But what I'm going to do is use this bag and get a mug and just roll it over or smush it like this until you get some crumbs. So shake it out a little bit and then you start smushing again. We can roll it either way. Be careful not to break your mug. So you keep doing that until you get a very fine crumb. You should have lots and lots of biscuit crumbs like this. Don't worry if they're not completely fine, that's absolutely fine. So next you need to add in some butter and you need to melt it so it's going to bind it together. Because I don't have that many bowls, I just put it in a cup. Then I'm going to go to the microwave and just put it in. So now you should have the melted butter, which is about 75 grams, and all your biscuit crumbs. So now you want to take a spoon and you're going to slowly add this butter into, bit by bit, into the mixture. So I just need it. I think I need the rest of it. What I'm actually going to do is add in a teaspoon of this speculoos as well. That's looking good. So what you now want to do is get your tin and scrape it all out. So use the back of your spoon to flatten at the base, right to the edges, try and get it even. And you really need to press down quite hard to get this base, because you want to have that base that will come out as a biscuit, as a whole thing. So that needs to be pushed down quite firmly. So now you have your base. So for now, I think while I'm doing the rest of the cheesecake, I'm going to put this in the fridge. Okay, so now we need to do the actual cheese part of the cheesecake. So first of all, we need to melt down our chocolate. I'd recommend doing it in a glass bowl over a pan of water, but I don't actually have a glass bowl that I can do that with. So instead, I'm going to put it on the low heat inside a little pan and just leave it there to gently melt. So now while the chocolate's melting, we'll get on with the cheese part. So you literally just have to scoop out the cheese from the tubs. Remember, it should be at room temperature. So just to recap, it should be 450 grams of the cream cheese, which is about 3 tubs, and then about 375 grams of the mascarpone. Don't worry about the measurements, it doesn't have to be very exact. So of course, if you want to be more health conscious, more lean, then you can always use low-fat cheese. But hey, what's the fun in a low-fat cheesecake? Now it's just really a matter of adding in the chocolate. So I did it in 2 parts, just mixing it in. Make sure you really mix it in well. You don't really want any marbling at this point, so you really need to scrape around the bowl, making sure that it should really be just one smooth colour. Okay, so that's looking great already. But we still need to add in the dark chocolate. So we need to just pop that into the same pan. Don't worry about changing because it's all just going to go into the cake anyway. In fact, it works out better because you get more chocolate into the cake. While we're waiting for the dark chocolate to melt, I'm going to put in the speculoos. So this is the speculoos spread. Like I said, it was the smooth one. And although it's quite malleable, I'd rather it was a little bit slicker. So it'll be easier to put into the mixture. So I want about 100 grams of this as well. So about 3 heaped tablespoons, I guess. So there we go. I'm just going to pop that in the microwave as well. So that's going to melt down a little bit. It'll be easier to mix in. So having microwaved the speculoos, it comes out looking right like this, which is perfect. So we just pop that in as well. Again, we want to mix this in thoroughly, so we want to get it all the way through the cake. We don't really want bits that have more flavour or suddenly get a lot of sweetness. So once the dark chocolate's melted, you can really pretty much just pour it in and then mix it in. So again, we're going to mix this really thoroughly. If you would like, you could fold it in a little bit more gently and then, you know, sort of add it in slowly, so then you can get a more of a marbled effect. But I've mixed it in pretty thoroughly. I take my base out of the fridge. And then I have to start spooning the mixture into the base. At this point, if you've done what I've done, put cling film inside the tin, you have to make sure that you really get it into all the nooks and crannies and that the cling film isn't pulling it inwards. Otherwise, you'll get an irregular shape. After that, all you have to do is smooth off the top and you're done. Okay, so that is your cheesecake. I'm going to put that in the fridge for a minimum of 2 hours. I'd say best done overnight.